Hey, everybody. Welcome to another Playful Humans podcast. I'm your host, Mike Montague with Playful Humans. You can find us at playfulhumans.com. Subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening to it right now. That would be great. And my guest this week is a bizarrist. I'm excited to hear about that, and a TikTok personality with over 90,000 followers. His name's Mercer Blackwell. He's right there.
Hey, how you doing, everybody?
Hey, Mike. You can find him at Mercer Blackwell on TikTok or the website blackwellbizarre.com for more information. We're going to talk with him about what it's like to play for a living. This is the Playful Humans podcast. Here we go. All right, Mercer, we like to start with the joke of the week. The joke of the week is brought to you by Forrest Gump's password. That's one Forrest one. Forrest Gump's password. Also, if your password is, password #1, it's time to change your password. Public service announcement there. But here's the joke of the week. 3 car keys walk into a bar, and the bartender says, "You can stay, but don't start anything." All right. You have a joke, Mercer?
Sure. Hey, I've got another one that walks into a bar. A string walks into a bar and he wants to order a drink. He walks up and he says, "Hey, can I get a drink?" The bartender takes one look at him and says, No, we don't serve strings here." So the string walks out. He turns around, walks back in. He gets up at the bar and says, "Hey, I'd like a drink." The bartender looks at him again and says, "Hey, didn't I just tell you I don't serve strings here?" String says, "I'm afraid not."
Nice. Yes, I like that one. I like the afraid not one. Great. So let's talk about what you do for a living and just jump right into it. What is a bizarrist, and what sort of bizarre things do you do on a regular basis besides waxing your mustache?
Oh boy, howdy. Well, the mustache is all meditation, I got to tell you. That's enlightenment coming through. Now, a bizarrist is somebody that does bizarre and strange things. So I do all kinds of things like eating fire, swallowing swords. I eat needles and then loop them in my stomach, bring them back up. And then there's magic. I do magic along with it.
Oh, nice. The one I find most concerning or bizarre, I think, is the regurgitation.
Yes.
So I can imagine sword swallowing, fire things, and obviously magic. I'm into that. We have a mutual friend there, Keith Gong, but and mentalism. But the regurgitation just seems crazy. Now, is that a skill that takes longer to learn than like juggling and stuff, or how did you get into that part?
Oh boy. So I am a regurgitator. One of the things I do with that is I swallow paint, acrylic paint, and then I swallow a ball, like a marble, and I'm able to write on the ball inside my stomach, and then I bring it back up and give it to the person who's watching, if they take it, usually in a bag. But no, the way that it's, I would say I learned to do that around 15. I was eating something with a long spoon, eating some ice cream, I think. And as I was like reaching back there, I choked myself because it went too far. And I realized at the same time that like I could use the muscles in my throat to hold the bowl of the spoon, to kind of like pinch it there. And so I started using grapes and like kind of pinching them, maybe doing a little swallow, trying to let it slide down my esophagus. And I learned how to sort of control as it goes down and then reverse the motion to bring it back up, if that makes sense.
Oh my gosh. It does make sense, but it seems completely crazy. And since you, I mean, I imagine, it's a skill like anything else, but what about, you mentioned then at 15, that's pretty young. So did you ever have a real job? We talk on the show about playing for a living. Did you, go to the corporate world and sell insurance or anything, and then decide that this could be a full-time thing? Or have you always just enjoyed doing these bizarre things and found a way to make that work?
Well, boy, howdy. I have had many, quote, real jobs. So I started doing magic when I was 6. It has always been something that I wanted to do for a living. I've always wanted it to be part of my life, and it has. I think there was a lot of familial pressure to go to school, to get a job, and then, hey, if you want to do magic on the side, that's great. So I ended up doing that. I worked fast food, stuff like that. And then I got a job working as an accountant at a small construction firm. And it was like a real big boy job. And I was there for 3 years. It was sort of a right place, right time kind of thing. I worked up to ostensibly chief financial officer before I left. And that was about over a year ago. I ended up leaving to do this full time.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, congratulations. You've been able to make that jump. But I found that to be interesting too, just in my life, that I've designed websites since I was in high school and had very serious careers. I still do sales training during the day as my primary job and marketing for a sales training company. But I also do like hosting game shows and DJing and stuff. And when I was on the radio, people couldn't grasp that like the person DJing in the club was also the one designing the website during the day. So how did the construction company, see your afternoon or night weekend activities? And do you find that like people have trouble balancing like accountant and entertainer? Because those seem like very similar, like opposite ends of the spectrum as mine.
Oh yeah, I was, in the office totally square, and I more or less looked like that until I got on stage. It was difficult. I mean, when I was working there, I was busting out like 70 hours a week, all kinds of, because I was, it was me and a crew and a couple other people. It was a small company, so it was very difficult to keep that balance. And I don't think the company had any real problem with it, mostly because there was never a lot of crossover. There was my work life that took a lot of time, and then like any chance I could get to get out there and perform, any job I could get, it didn't matter. Like I just wanted to get the practice. That's the thing that I needed and what I lived for while I was there.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting because I think that leads me to my next question, which is, how does it feel now a year in of this being your full-time job? Because sometimes you think like, oh, this is great. I love doing, magic and the bizarre stuff on the weekends, and you're having fun with it and it's your hobby. But then all of a sudden when you go full time, it becomes a job and people are paying you to do it, which means you generally have to do it their way or in their situations or at least on their schedule. And it feels more like a job. Have you found it more fulfilling and fun to be full time, or have you felt it, start to creep back towards a work side?
It's definitely so. It's, of course, there's like the play side, and then there's the business end of the operation. I'll say I got a lot of really good business experience of things that I wanted and things that I didn't want to do when I was, doing my own thing. So it definitely creeps in. I'm not a big fan of like the business side of things. What I do appreciate is that as a bizarrist, like if just be yourself and the world will pay your price. And that's kind of the motto that I live by. I got on TikTok and I was like, I'm going to make whatever kind of videos I want. I don't care if people like them. Somebody is going to find this and think, wow, that's actually kind of cool. So when I approach like a client or a business, like it's less of me trying to like fit into whatever they're doing and more like, hey, this is what I do. If this is your demo, if this is what you like, that's great. I want to be there for it, and I want to be part of it. And that has definitely taken off the business edge. There was certainly an amount of sacrifice in personality that I had to make as somebody who was working for somebody.
Right.
And that, when I started working for myself, I thought, I don't want to do that. I want the people that want me as me, and then everything else will come later.
Yeah, I think that's so huge. And especially you're right. When you're doing something like bizarre, it's supposed to be out of the box. It's not supposed to fit into this neat, structure and what people expect. So you can kind of use that as an excuse for people and we say, hey, I'd love to do whatever stunt you dreamed up for your activity, but that's not what I do. I do things that people don't expect. But I'm sure those things come along too, which is fine. I personally, some people really fight it and think about like selling out and stuff. And I found out really early in my career as a DJ and on the radio and stuff is that if anybody's ever heard of you or you want to get paid, you have to sell out. There's no version of making money at this where you don't do it for money. So my first television commercial was for Kansas University, and I went to Missouri. And I don't know if you know about the big KU-MU rivalry, but there's like a border war that stems back to the Civil War, and like hate it. So I went to Mizzou. They were like $100 to read this, and it took me 5 minutes. I was like, "We got the cure for what's ailing you, Jayhawk fever. Come on down to the KU bookstore." Like, I'm right in it. Like, very first one, I was like, "Okay, yeah. I mean, somebody's gonna pay me to do what I love and have fun for a minute. I'll do it." So I imagine, especially, when you're thinking about monetizing TikTok, or somebody wanted you to do it for a commercial or something, you would. But I love that you said you get to play with it too. And I wanted to ask you about TikTok, because when it's your platform, that's what makes it so much more interesting, is there's nobody to hold you accountable there, and really only the standards of whatever network you're on are the limitations there. So how have you found yourself and your voice on TikTok, and tell us about some of the things that you do there for people that want to check it out.
Sure. So when I started on TikTok, this was almost a year ago. So I came at it with this idea of, I'd never heard of TikTok before. I wasn't on Musical.ly. I wasn't like one of those early adoption people. So I hopped on there and I thought, well, this is interesting. I could put together a minute clip and like I could make something. So I started with the idea of, I just want to push bizarre stuff. I want to do like magic all the time. And it did not end up being like sustainable. I post, 2 to 3 times a day, Monday through Friday. So we're talking like 10, 15 videos a week.
Wow.
It burns through material a lot faster than you think.
So, for sure.
But then I saw other people that were like taking screenshots of like Google pictures and making these interesting like lists, learning about things. It was anything and everything. And one thing that I have a real passion for is learning. I like to learn about everything that I can. I'm an avid reader. I make things all the time. I always have something other than magic, of course, that is like occupying my mind or I'm thinking about. And I thought, well, I'm always doing this. It's like my default state. Can I put this on TikTok? Can I tell people what I learned about space toilets on TikTok? Can I tell people about what you can do with your body after you die? And so I did, and now I unapologetically put that on there, and it has been pretty darn good so far.
Yeah. Did you have one that went viral and got you started, or was it just a slow, build and climb of posting over and over again? That's a really good question. I thought I was going to have like a big, I was going to have that hit, and that was going to push me off. And then I was just going to ride my rocket all the way up to the top. And that kind of happened for a few months. I was posting a few videos and I would get maybe 100, 200 views, whatever. And I started getting a little bit of a following. And then I had one video that did really well. It was the first electric massager in the United States. You had to have a prescription. It was for women with hysteria. So it was that kind of massager. And I have an oddities exhibit. That's part of it. So I made this video like, hey, this is a massager, and it ended up getting like 197,000 views. And so that was like to me, that was huge. It was a huge video. And that has been the pattern this whole time. I'll post like these, I'll post 50 videos that do pretty good. And then there's that one that gets, a crazy amount of views. Right now, the video I have with the most views is sitting at like 4.9 million. Whoa.
And then the second, and then I have like a cluster of really great videos that are sitting anywhere between like 1 million and 400,000 views, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then the rest of them are like, 10,000, 20,000, maybe like under 10,000, some of them if they're new. So what I'm noticing is as I have a viral video, all of my other videos average up. Instead of getting 100 views a video, now I'm getting 1,000 views every video. And then I'll have another video that pops. And then now I have 10,000 views per video instead of 5,000. So this like averaging up pattern is what I've been noticing, especially.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And then because TikTok's new, we chatted a little bit before we hit record. you're not making money on that like a YouTuber that has sponsors and stuff, or I don't know. Have you added sponsors yet, or is it mostly people see that and then book you for performing?
So I am being paid by TikTok themselves. They have something called a TikTok creator fund. It's entirely based on like views, interaction, stuff like that, which is how you get paid.
Cool.
They have come up with this TikTok creator marketplace. It's in beta right now in 2021. But I am taking sponsorships right now. I'm talking to a couple of businesses around that sort of fit within my demo. To, what I'd eventually like to do is promote local businesses and sort of, get a great like Orlando community of people that know me and know other businesses and other cool places where they wouldn't know about before.
Yeah, that's cool. I think that's awesome. And I'm imagining on TikTok, your following is across the nation. Who would be like an interesting sponsor? What fits the oddities and bizarre stuff?
Well, Oddity shops, of course.
Oh yeah.
Oddity shops would fit in there. I was just recently talking to a fashion clothing store. That was today actually. And anyone that like, there are definitely businesses that are focused on like a unique experience or something novel for their clients and something special that they can't get anywhere else. And I think that's where I would fit best, if they're looking for that kind of novelty.
Yeah, I think a lot of the people that I interview on this podcast do playful things, especially the entertainers, where if you're looking to get people back into a physical location at some point in the next 12 months and you want to attract a crowd or something or some attention, I would think some sort of bizarre, item or stunt or otherwise would be a cool way to say like, hey, we're coming back, come out and play with us and show up at this time, right? Because so many people are at different stages of this pandemic in different cities and states and stuff. I think it could be a real advantage to start, planning out some things where you're opening back up and inviting people out.
Yeah, that's definitely something I was doing around February, March, when things like kind of opened up a little bit and it was a lot of competition. A lot of places were trying to, especially in downtown Orlando, like how are we going to get people into our bar or our food establishment, our restaurant? So what I ended up doing with a few places down there was doing barking, like fire eating. And then I had shows inside the actual bar establishment that was basically, for everyone there, having those interactions, seeing a great show, and then seeing, me outside eating fire, swallowing swords, nailing things in my face, all for free.
That's awesome. I wanted to ask you what your favorite item is in your oddities collection.
Oh boy. So one of the first oddities items I got was a bracelet made of children's teeth from Haiti. And I have it right here. It's a crazy story. So I actually have a TikTok video on this. And so it's this like wire bracelet with children's teeth adhered to it in some way. I'm not sure what the actual adhesive is. I went to Haiti when I was 12 and I was doing magic, but there was this bazaar nearby, shops of people. And I was like, oh, I want to do magic. So I'm doing these card tricks for people. And I did not know at the time that they take paganism and magic very seriously. It's not a joke to them. So, these people are like freaking out and I'm, these little kids doing card tricks and I'm thinking, oh, I'm killing it, And so I gathered a crowd of people and there were, I was about to start a next effect and this woman pushed her way through the crowd to me and she came up and she pushed something into my chest and she said, you need to leave right now. If you ever come back, you'll be cursed for the rest of your life. And she chased me away from the crowd so that I would like stop doing magic, stop interact, just go away.
Wow.
When I had gotten away, I looked at what she gave me and it was this bracelet. I have not been back to Haiti. I'm not really superstitious, but hopefully they don't recognize me.
That's funny. Well, yeah, that's a great story and a great item in the collection, certainly that people don't have. Another fun one I thought I like to ask guests and entertainers is maybe what was your best experience on stage, or what was your worst experience, or both?
Oh God. So I definitely know the worst.
Let's start there.
Right. One of the worst experiences I had was I was doing an effect where I put somebody's cell phone in a bag, and there's a gag as part. Like the whole effect is basically I put the phone in the bag has a hole in it, and it falls out on the floor, and it's broken. It breaks in half, and I pick it up, and then I put it in. I put it away, and then all of a sudden it's inside another like a nest of boxes. And this was one of the first couple times I'd done it, and I had practiced, but I'm holding the bag, and the phone falls out of the bag like it's supposed to, and it plops on the floor. It doesn't break, and it's like a prop, so it's supposed to. And so everyone's like, oh, it's okay. And the woman bends down to pick her phone up, and I'm like, oh no, I got it. And it's clearly nothing has happened. And so I thought, okay, if I just give this a little drop, then it'll break, and then we can go on. So I did this really bad exaggeration of dropping her phone, and it ended up looking like I was throwing it. And
that's kind of even funnier.
Yeah, this asshole on stage is taking this woman's phone and slaps it on the ground. Oh Jesus! And then it didn't break again. It was still fine. So
oh my gosh.
Even worse. And so I take the phone, I make it vanish, and then oh, it's in the nest of boxes, fine, like it was before. It was, and then I just very quickly was like, that's my show, thank you. And then I got off stage.
That's great. I think if that was me, I would have continued to escalate. I would have gone for a rocker hammer and just smashed the hell out of
the
thing.
I considered doubling down, but I was like,
yeah.
Man, if this doesn't work again, I'm really gonna look like an asshole.
What is this? An indestructible phone? That's your prop.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Now, what about the most fun you've ever had? So maybe it was a show, maybe it wasn't, but what's the most fun you've had with all this?
The best show I ever had, it was a couple years ago. I did a show for this guy he was having Halloween parties, and it was over in Disney's really nice gated community. I pulled up, and they asked for my ID and called the place hey, Mercer Black, do you know this guy? It was very fancy. But what ended up being a great time was everyone there was just on it. Everyone was having a great time, and I just came in, and it was just melting into the audience, and that's what I really liked about it, was that everyone was already having a good time. I come in, and everyone's having an even better time. So that's I remember I did this effect where I was making a Sharpie mark disappear off of my hand, and then I would drop it into their hand, and people were going nuts about it. And it ended up being a lot of really, really great stories for people when they went home, and they just had a great time.
Well, I love that. And I think you hit on something that we haven't talked about on the podcast yet, which I found about performing is people really underestimate how important the crowd is and the vibe that's already there. If you go to a stuffy corporate event where everybody's worried about their jobs and stuff or something, and you're trying to be funny or irreverent, it really just bombs hard. But if you walk into an event, like you said, that's already going, and people, maybe have had a couple of drinks, or they're otherwise uninhibited, they're being themselves, they're with friends and family, and it's a lot more relaxed. It's so much more fun. And those are the ones that give us energy as performers, because you're oh, this is already on fire here. I just need to add fuel to the flames, and we can have a great time, and it's set up. But yeah, when it's not going great, or the crowd is not there, there's nothing really you can do about it. But I find that freeing as a performer, because it's all right, well, I'm just going to show up and do my thing. And either they get the joke or they don't get the joke. But that doesn't mean I'm not funny or that the joke's not funny. It just means that they didn't get it tonight.
Right. Yeah. You never really know what you're walking into when it comes to audiences. When you're doing strolling magic or stage, you just never really know how warm everyone's going to be. And what you were saying, especially what people are worried about. And that's something I see a lot with corporate parties, or a customer appreciation or a luau or something. Everyone has this expectation that they have to behave, And what I really like about the way that I perform, or maybe the clients that hire me, is they know, like, right then, like, I'm going to come in there, and like, if you're not having a great time, I'm not going to like mess with you, but there's an energy that I want to bring to the event, that, I'm trying to elevate that, that feeling, get people a little bit looser and have fun.
I love that. And you reminded me there of something for me. That's the weddings. That's why I charge, like, and most performers charge double for weddings, is there's such an expectation that this has to be the greatest night of your life. And sometimes New Year's Eve and other parties are like that too, where it's just the expectation is so high, there's almost no way to live up to it. That if it's not perfect or something goes wrong, people feel like it's a disaster. So I always try to set the expectations up front on those things. Like, hey, we're going to plan all we can. We're going to do what we can. We're going to line up a great show, but then it is what it is. If the power goes out, or there's a lightning, storm, or, something catches on fire, that's what happened. And you're going to have a great story, but we're just going to keep going and have fun. So relax and enjoy your big night.
Oh yeah. Weddings are great.
Yeah. So, how about, a game here? You want to play a game, Mercer?
Sure. Let's play a game.
All right. I am spinning our prize wheel. There are 10 games on here that it could land on, and you got Two Truths and a Lie. Okay. Two Truths and a Lie is pretty easy. You say 3 fun facts about yourself, 2 of them true, 1 is a lie. I'm going to guess which one the lie is. And I'll start first for you, show you how it's done. I feel like yours is going to be a bit of a challenge. You've done some bizarre, crazy things, so we'll see what it is. But
I'm getting some good ideas. Yeah.
I'm not that crazy, but I also fancied myself as like a vaudeville entertainer when I was in grade school and stuff. I learned to do a bunch of things. So I'm going to give you 3 of them, and you guess which one I cannot do.
Gotcha.
I can juggle.
Okay.
I can ride a unicycle.
Okay.
And I can make balloon animals.
Ooh. Okay. All right. So okay. I feel like I don't know if you can, I imagine you probably have a sense of balance. So you might be able to ride a unicycle. Balloon animals is totally throwing me. I'm going to say the lie is the unicycle.
You nailed it.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Unicycle is by far the hardest of those things. You can learn to juggle in about a week, and balloon animal is really fun. As soon as you know some basic shapes, you can make whatever you want. But unicycle, I tried for like 3 months over the summer in high school, and I could never get the unicycle down. So I tried, but I cannot do it. How about you? 2 truths and a lie. Okay.
All right. So the first is I have performed medical research for hypnosis. The second, I have a diamond piercing in my wrist, no peeking. And the third, I can juggle 4 torches.
Ooh, we both went with juggling. I was going to caveat mine too and say 3, but then that's not very impressive. Okay, I'm going to say 4 torches is a yes. You do fire eating, that usually involves the torches and the juggling, and 3 is definitely doable. 4 is tougher but doable. Sure. The research also sounds plausible to me. I've seen your hands on screen. I haven't noticed anything too crazy yet. So I'm going to go with that is the lie.
The diamond in the wrist. That one's actually true. I can show you. It's right here.
There you go.
Yeah. I've had her 4 years, I think. And every once in a while it gets upset. But no, the lie ended up being juggling. I mean, it blows everyone's mind. I have tried my best to juggle. I've tried for years. I have never once been able to get to juggle. It's for some reason I've never been able to do it.
Well, you know what? I do think pins and torches are harder than balls for sure. You have to get the spin and rotation right, as well as the toss and the catch. Catching is important. But I think that's interesting. And both of ours have great lessons for people listening to the podcast, which is if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. Right. And so, if you're really great at regurgitation, but you can't juggle, you still can do your thing and entertain people. And same thing for me. Just, Set down the unicycle, pick up the balloons, and have some fun. Run with whatever you're good at and lean into that. Any final asks or gives for our audience? What will we find at blackwellbazaar.com or on TikTok?
Oh boy. So on Blackwell Bazaar, you're going to find any kind of links to contact me. You'll also find out more information about the shows that I do. I'm releasing a line of stickers soon, stickers for strange people of original artwork that I've done, if that's something that interests you. If you go on TikTok, what you'll be able to find are a bunch of videos about how space toilets work, about new oddities, a human tibia, Huey and Louie, the two-headed duck, and of course other educational stuff like a trapdoor casket. It's called the economy casket. You slip the body in, you put it over the hole, and then you just open the trapdoor and then you use it again. It's very economical.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, check them out at Mercer Blackwell on TikTok or go to blackwellbazaar.com. Both the links in the show notes. Mercer, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. It was great to get to know you and your story.
Thank you so much, Mike. It's my pleasure.
If you are watching this podcast and you want to join the Playful Humans community, meet more cool people like Mercer and myself, if I don't say do say so myself, go to playfulhumans.com. We have a whole community there designed to help adults rediscover the power of play and help you have more fun. Again, playfulhumans.com. There's a quiz. You can also hit subscribe right now and like and share this video. Until next time, whatever you are, be a good one. Later.
Don't wait
Later.
for tomorrow. Live for today. Keep on chasing the sunshine and go out and play.
Go play, everybody.